So, folks, a while ago, and by a while I mean like a week ago, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks went on Breaking Points, and he sat down and had a conversation with Crystal Ball, who, I generally like Crystal. Like I think she's had some misses, but I think she's been doing better recently. And Grigor.
Grigor Nitrushin here. I noticed you were talking about friend Anna. I believe she is very smart and has many high-level ideas. I cannot stay long. Friend Tucker is here in Texas.
Grigor Nitrushin, thank you so much for the $15 dono. I appreciate your no strings attached support of my program. Anyway, Cenk sat down with Crystal Ball, and I think it's very illuminating for what he's trying to do. And I don't want us to watch the entire thing together, but I think maybe about 10 minutes in, he gets to kind of where I think he explains where all of this is happening. Can we stop platforming TYT? They've gone to the right wing. Stop farm and cannot... The right wing, they've gone to the right wing slop farm and cannot come back from this. Well, the issue is TYT is exponentially larger than my channel, and as such has an exponentially larger channel, a number of subscribers, and a number of people who pay attention to what they say, who need to be informed that what they say isn't good or right. So that's kind of the issue that we're running into here, right? Like, in the same way that I critique like a Ben Shapiro or a Michael Knowles, unfortunately, they now kind of deserve similar scrutiny in that way. It's precisely for the reason that you pointed out. It's not even like that for me. It's not about the drama doing numbers, Gamer G. For me, it's like they are just doing shitty reporting. And not only are they bad at reporting, they're also like trying to tear down other leftist creators in the space. And like, we're already each fragile enough already that we don't need to like be going at each other's throats, but they are the aggressors here. You know? They just make me angry. They make me angry too. But I think at about 10 minutes in, Cenk gets to his point here.
Let's go kill everyone in the Middle East so Jesus can come back and stuff.
Like Huckabee.
Yeah, but those guys have lost a lot of power within that base. So
basically, his argument at this point is that he believes that the far-right evangelical fascists have lost a lot of power within the Republican Party. And that's one of his main thesis points here. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context there.
Now, within the right-wing base...
Pete Hegseth, sorry, I'll let you finish, but Pete Hegseth, Mike Huckabee, like, these
people
have been put in, Mike Waltz.
But Crystal, Huckabee is Team Miriam, right? So she's the one...
He's Team End Times.
Okay, yeah, I know. So Miriam Adelson got Marco Rubio, Stefanik, Huckabee, and Walz in.
Yeah.
Those are all neocons, war hawks.
Hegseth, too.
Yeah, and Hegseth with kill all the Muslims. I mean, I'm not unclear about that.
Yeah.
And I know that in a lot of ways, I'm in the crosshairs, right? But don't discount the bros, okay? So the bros have brought in a huge new part of his base. And don't discount the moderates that are so sick of the Democratic Party that they flipped over, moderates, independents, to Trump. And they're not looking to deport every human being in America that isn't, evangelical Christian. They're not looking, the bros don't even agree on abortion with the Republican Party, right? So, like, when you talk about Joe Rogan and Portnoy and all those guys, we have our disagreements with them.
Yeah. That's the bit that made me do a double take as I was falling asleep listening to this last night, which is that he believes that Christian nationalists have less power now, despite listing like 7 that were appointed by Donald Trump like this past week, right? And he's trying to say that like the Bernie bros that like swapped to like Trump, you know, who are just kind of dumb moderates, can be appealed to. And I'm just not convinced that that is a significant portion, a significant enough group to base an entire political party strategy around.
Them, no question, right?
Yeah.
But those guys are breaking the car. If let's say they do what one of Trump's potential picks was threatening to do, which is deport and denaturalize and arrest Medi Assan, right?
Right.
That's a specific threat that one of the potential appointees had, right?
Who said that?
I think Mike Davis.
Okay.
So he was being considered for attorney general. And so, by the way, good news, he didn't pick him, but you know, Kash Patel says things like that, Hegseth says things like that. I think if they go to do that, and this is where people can, you got me on tape, you'll say, ha ha, Cenk was so naive. That's when I think the Rogans of the world will come out and go, what are you doing? Really? I thought we were against cancel culture. I thought we
He's so dumb. Unspeakably dumb.
potential appointees had, right?
Who said that?
I think Mike Davis.
Okay.
So he was being considered for attorney general. And so, by the way, good news, he didn't pick him, but you know, Kash Patel says things like that, Hegseth says things like that. I think if they go to do that, and this is where people can, you got me on tape, you'll say, ha ha, Cenk was so naive.
No, we won't, because we'll be in a exponentially worse situation. You're naive right now. You're actively doing the naive thing.
That's when I think the Rogans of the world will come out and go, what are you doing? Really? I thought we were against cancel culture.
There's no universe in which Joe Rogan comes out as like head of the resistance. What do you mean?
I thought we were for freedom. You don't agree with Medi Assan's position on Israel, so we're going to denaturalize him, a thing that doesn't even exist? No, I think they're going to say no, okay? And here's the absolute...
You think they're going to say no, and granted, this is 7 days ago, but just like 2 days ago, Donald Trump was talking about deporting U.S. citizens.
Litmus test.
Okay.
On Israel, so Team Israel, Team Miriam will drive him towards war. Today, Donald Trump said that he's going in that direction.
Yeah.
He said that there's going to be hell to pay for the Palestinians and for the entire Middle East if the hostages aren't returned. I don't know what more hell they could live in, right?
Exactly.
But that's Trump saying, I will murder anyone on behalf of Israel, okay? And I will start any war on behalf of Israel. So am I right or am I wrong? We might find out instantly. Because for the moment being, they're saying, the right-wing populists, oh, no, Trump would never do a war in the Middle East. No way, no way. But he's a tough guy, and he's going to threaten them, and he's going to get the hostages back. But what I'm trying to explain to them is, and I had this conversation with Rudy Giuliani at the RNC. Brother, when you say, oh, he's threatening them, so that's good negotiation. But what if somebody calls his bluff? And in the case of the Palestinians, they don't have a choice. Because what Trump is saying is, in order to get the hostages back, Israel wants to ethnically cleanse and take half of Gaza. No Palestinian will ever agree to that, right? So Trump is threatening a giant war in the Middle East. If he does it, we're gonna find out if I'm right or wrong. Because at that point, I think the right-wing populists and the bros go,
like, if that happens, we're gonna have a lot more on our minds than whether or not Cenk Uygur was right or wrong about something, pal.
Yeah.
no, brother, I didn't elect you to be a worse neocon than Biden.
Fair enough.
They absolutely did. That's why they elected him to do that. These people are anti-war. They've been agitating to bomb Mexico.
We'll see, but I'll tell you why I'm very skeptical, because we already knew Trump's record from his first term. Like, he was not anti-war, and he was extremely hawkish towards Iran.
But his base is anti-war.
He was very,
No, they're not.
pro-Israel. And so this was already out there, right? And yet you still had people like RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard who were claiming he was anti-war, even though they had said, both of them, totally contradictory things previously. And also claiming that he's anti-censorship and pro-free speech. I mean, to me, that's just utterly preposterous. This is someone who wants to tighten the libel laws, who wants to criminalize flag burning. The Republican Party has launched a wave of bills across the country to crack down protests, et cetera. And so even in spite of all of that, they still continue to hold him out as some, beacon of free speech and beacon of anti-war dovishness. And so when I see that, and I see there's already been this, ability to erase all of the things that he's done in the past and pretend he is something that he's not, it's hard for me to imagine that dynamic changing. But we can put a pin in that, because we are going to see, soon enough what the reaction is going to be. Because I do want to get to this piece about the establishment. Because the other part that I have a question about here is you say the establishment has been defeated. And I just say, even in the Democratic Party, I think they have been dealt a blow. I think you see that in MSNBC's cratering ratings. I think that creates an opportunity, a possibility. But I don't think they've been defeated. I think it's...
Yeah, I don't understand how Cenk comes to the conclusion that, mainstream Democrats are done. They have more money than ever before. They are a formidable force to be dealt with. Are they embarrassed? Are they temporarily embarrassed? Yes.
It's very possible we end up with Pete and Gavin, next time around in the Democratic primary. These people are very resilient. I think you have a lot of, affluent liberals who will think that they could be the answer to the problems, et cetera. They still have a lot of money power. But on the Republican side too, for me, the ultimate final boss establishment is the billionaires who rig the rules for their own benefit. And the billionaires have basically never been more blatantly in control than right now.
Gavin Newsom is a horrible idea. Well, bad news for you. He's gearing up to run.
Musk is a perfect example of this, but we can actually put this next element up on the screen, guys. Trump has the wealthiest cabinet in history. I think there are 6 billionaires so far that he's picked to be part of his administration. And so, to me, again, this is the ultimate establishment, and they are fully in control of what's going to happen.
Not only, again, this is exactly why I've been saying, we need to get involved in politics now, show up to your local Dem meetings now, because we need to build up the political power to actually affect things in, a couple years, 2 to 4 years. And that, right now, is the amount of time we need to actually do things. And the system's slow.
In the Trump administration.
Okay. One more, going back to Trump's problems and then this.
Yeah, okay.
So I agree with you on all that. He's been hypocritical on every one of those issues, censorship. And he said about in his first term, I don't want poor people in my cabinet.
That's right.
He said, I like rich people,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's been trying to get into that elite club his whole life. So the idea that he's against the elites is kind of funny. He is, but only because he's jealous.
He's against cultural elites.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, academia.
No,
he's not against
not
the rich.
True. He's not. That's not even true. He'd love to be in Hollywood.
Oh, that's true.
Right,
yeah.
and
that's
he
how
started a
positions
fake university,
himself,
right?
Yeah.
So, was he perceived as against the establishment? Yes, right.
Yeah.
So that's when is the establishment annihilated? No, of course not. Are they going to make a comeback? Of course. The empire is going to strike back in 2028.
Yeah.
But the empire struck back so many times. It struck back in 2016, 2020, 2024. And so maybe 2028 is, to extend this needless analogy, is the return of the Jedi, right? And so I'm not under any illusion that the establishment is gone, right? But was Kamala Harris the more establishment candidate? Yes, of course she was.
Sure.
Right? And so did she lose? Yes. And as I explained in another tweet in that thread, it's not just that Kamala Harris lost. Some Hillary Clinton lost, right? Joe Biden nearly lost. Mm-hmm. So it's not that. It's that mainstream media, which is the main weapon of the establishment, is now greatly reduced in its influence. Before, we could not get past them in a Democratic primary. Bernie almost had it in 2016, but certainly in 2020 when he won the first 3 states, and mainstream media defeated him with their lies and propaganda, right? Oh, he's going to execute people in Central Park, he's a Nazi, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the mainstream media guys are the worst liars in the world. They lie way worse than even right-wing media.
I don't know about that.
Okay, we can have that discussion. I think you cannot find 2 bigger liars in America than Joe Scarborough and Whoopi Goldberg.
I mean, but I hear you. But I also have been kind of blackpilled on a lot of independent media, because that tenant media situation where, Tim Pool and whoever else were taking random sketchy money to put out whatever propaganda they were told to put out. I just, I don't see what has grown up on the right in the independent media space as actually being better than the mainstream press.
I totally disagree with you.
While
I'll tell you why.
while I feel like they're, what I
I think maybe Crystal's hitting a little too close to home right now.
agree with you on is there is a possibility that exists now that didn't before. And so I feel sort of, I guess what I relate to in your tweet is I would say I feel energized because there is a possibility that wasn't there, that is there now. I think the most likely outcome is that things continue to get worse. That's why I don't feel like optimistic, because what I see over the next 4 years is you're probably going to have, a lot of cruelty towards immigrants. You're likely to have, another inflationary spiral if he does, half of the tariffs he's talking about. You could very easily have more chaos in the Middle East. We're already seeing it. More brutality in the Middle East. That's almost certainly going to happen. You could have some like giant crypto bubble as possible, avian flu. Like there's all kinds of things that I think could be horrible and brutal over the next 4 years, and I can't look at that. I would love to feel optimistic that there's going to be a light at the end of the rainbow. And like I said, I do feel energized, but optimistic is just not. I would love to be there, but I'm not.
Yeah, she's the leftist.
So let me agree and disagree in part.
Okay.
So first of all, I agree with your facts. So when we're talking about online media, are the Russians involved? Are there fracking billionaires that are financing shows?
Yeah.
Billionaire X and Billionaire Y, and do some of those shows totally serve those interests?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're reading the ads themselves.
Yeah.
So there's not even like, the appearance of an arm's length distance from the advertisers and the money.
I get all that, and I grant all.
Yep. Definitely might. Definitely might be hitting too close to home right now, Crystal. I'm sitting here just having a little bit of a flashback here. Let me pull up something real quick. Just yeah. Interesting stuff. Totally unrelated, I'm sure, to whatever they're talking about.
All that. Okay, so why then, given those facts, am I more optimistic about online media than mainstream media? Because mainstream media is a prison. And it's a prison in the past you could not break out of. There's guardrails. You are not allowed to say things outside those guardrails. You cannot talk about how the donors obviously control all the politicians. Obviously. You cannot talk about how Israel obviously controls Washington and Washington's occupied territory. It's so obvious. But if you say you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. I hate that prison. I despise that prison of lies that is establishment media, okay? So now in online media, you got the Russians, you got this, you got wild and woolly, crazy stuff, you got people I disagree with on the extreme left, on the extreme right. It's a mess in online media, and I love it, okay? That's the jungle, but Crystal, that's our jungle, okay? So we started this jungle at the Young Turks, and Breaking Points and Young Turks are in those same woods.
Right.
Oh, in the woods, we have to fight off the right, the left, the middle, the Russians, the Israelis, the Saudis, etc. Yeah, that's the woods, baby.
Right.
But we were born in those woods.
I mean, I hear
that's freedom.
I hear you, Cenk. I've seen too much. I mean, you know what the incentives are. Like the incentives are to feed the algorithm, the incentives are to feed your audience whatever they want to hear. The incentives are to be, ever more in your own bubble. And a lot of the incentives are the same, like access-driven ones and corruption-driven ones as the mainstream press. There's a reason why you and I didn't get interviews with Kamala Harris, because she knows we would have asked her some tough questions.
Of
right?
course.
There's a reason.
But Crystal, who gives a damn about getting interviews with Kamala Harris?
I'm just saying.
Oh, I am Kamala Harris.
A lot of people.
I mean, the Democrats right now, in the wake of this loss.
Well, I'm not interested in interviewing a corporate robot anyway.
But Cenk, my point is that a lot of people do care about that, which is why, so much of right-wing media is just like, basically sucking off Trump and whatever he says and towing the line. because they want to maintain that access. They want to maintain, their funding and their money, and they want to feed their audience whatever they want to be fed. And so again, there's a possibility here, and I don't want to quash that. I think it's really important, and it excites me. In the same respect, like, I'm clear-eyed about what a cesspool a lot of independent media, frankly, is at this point. And so there's, I guess, a caution that I have about it as well.
Crystal, nobody knows that better than me, right? We've been doing this for 22 years.
I know, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
So we started when the internet was a nice place. That's how old we are, okay?
The internet has never been a nice place.
So, longest running show in internet history, first YouTube partner, you know all that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So my point is that I have gone through all of those different things, and I'm perfectly aware of that. I'm not at all naive about it.
I know,
right?
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question back.
Okay.
You and I both worked at MSNBC.
Yeah.
So we've worked in establishment media.
Yeah.
We've worked online media.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Oh, definitely online media.
See?
But I'll tell you, Cenk, we've made some very specific decisions here, which is we don't do that. We will never talk to an advertiser. We don't do ad reads. We, have tried to intentionally create our business to avoid as much as possible, and we're still human beings, but as much as possible, some of the, the pressures, the incentives, et cetera, that I think have led to, most of the media ecosystem being not that great. And I think, that's, I know you guys have made some of those choices in your own ways, not exactly the same ones that we have. But most people, like, the money's green and, they want me to read this ad for, like, the ball coddlers or whatever it is. And I'm going
to... that ball coddling money? I see.
Going to do it, and I'm not going to look into that product, and if later down the road there's some problem with the product, I'm not going to cover it because then I'm going to have a problem with my funders. Like, I think because we've made some specific decisions here, it has given us a lot of freedom, but I don't necessarily see those same incentives, playing out across all of independent media, which has created, as much as I would love for us to be the model for everyone, that's not the reality of most of what exists out there.
Yeah, but so, Crystal, I agree with you on all of that. Again, stipulate to all the facts, right? But at least we've got a fighter's chance in online media.
Yeah.
And what has our perseverance shown, TYT as a network, right?
Yeah.
It's shown that when you buck all the tides and you don't take the obvious money, you don't serve those corporate interests, and you get attacked by every side imaginable, right? Establishment, right wing, left wing, everyone has attacked us.
Yeah.
And yet we're still the largest. So now that's not just to brag or anything. There's a real point in there, which is, yes, but the audience values the truth. And so as difficult as it is day to day, oh, somebody lied about you, you lost a part of your audience. So someone else lied about you, you lost a part of your audience. But you still keep going and going and going. And those guys, they all fall off. They all fall off.
Daily Wire is way bigger than us, and they're propagandists.
Yeah, but Daily Wire has gotten an enormous amount of money from corporate interests.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So, but Crystal, that's in the short run. No, that's in the short run.
I mean, that's just,
but Crystal, I'm also
like
a business
new
person.
established.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got it.
Media. I mean, they're not bucking the
system. But I'm also a business person. Yeah, we know.
System, right? They're just a new version on a different platform of effectively Fox News.
I know, but Crystal, I'm a business person, and I can see that those models are unworkable in the long run. They basically, what the right-wing billionaires are doing is they have a marketing budget, right? And their marketing budget goes to things like other right-wing media, right? Online right-wing media. And I get it, and that's a big reservoir of money that the left doesn't have at all, right? And so it's so ironic when they're like, Soros controls everything. Have you guys checked into how right-wing media gets financed, okay? Let alone the fact that Soros hasn't helped us a dime, right? As far as I don't know about you guys, but not us.
Definitely.
Right? And so I get all that, but they don't have margins. It's not a real business, okay? It's not a real business if you have to rely on, as Dennis Prager does, $23 million a year from right-wing billionaires, right? That's just a short-term marketing operation. Whereas building a real business where people actually value what you're doing, value the truth, that is sustainable in the long run, and we've proven that.
Yeah.
I mean, he did get an investment of like $20 million from like Jeffrey Katzenberg. But okay.
So look, the last thing on Trump, in terms
Yeah.
of why.
And then I want to talk. And then I
Yeah.
want to talk some about Elon. If you don't.
No, I don't mind at all.
Few
But
more
like
minutes, right?
on why I'm not despondent as I was in 2016.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the right-wing base, but there's one other thing with Trump. He loves being popular. So you got to get one decent person in the room to show him how to be popular. Because I don't think he knows how. He's just grasping at straws. He's blind, right? He keeps doing A/B testing. He's like, okay, what's more popular, being pro-immigrant or anti-immigrant? He did that like back in 2015. He went on a radio tour, and he's like, pro-immigrant? No, that's not. Oh, okay, anti-immigrant. Oh yeah, okay, people like that, right?
Yeah.
So, but paid family leave is popular. Healthcare is popular. Higher wages is popular. And the right-wing populists like all that. Anti-war, anti-corruption. Those are all popular. And the right-wing populists agree with the left-wing populists. So there is an area of possible agreement there that could get something done that the establishment would never do. The establishment would never be anti-war. They would never be anti-corruption. They would be never anything positive.
This is how I know that Cenk is either acting in bad faith or is one of the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. I wasn't sure when this moment came in this dialogue here, but like, these conservatives aren't anti-war. The mainstream populist conservatives, they're not anti-war. They're not anti-corruption. They are not pro like populist policy. They are fascists. That's those are in broad strokes what fascists are. They say they're against corruption, but then any corruption investigation is used selectively against their enemies. They say that they're anti-war, but really what they mean is they're only in favor of their wars. They want to focus on expansionism because that's what drives the fascist cult. That's it. End of story. Like, they are anti what they perceive wasting money on other people's wars. And you know what? They'll continue to say that they're anti-war while the United States begins participating in bombing runs on directly on Gaza. They'll say they're anti-war while participating in, you know, an invasion of Mexico. They'll say they're anti-war as they nuke North Korea. Like, I'm sorry, you don't get to say that you're anti-war when you vote for the guy who wanted to nuke a country and then try and get out of it by saying it was somebody else. Oh, we didn't nuke you, it was China. Like, this is not a populism that is consistent, and it is not a populism that is grounded in any real thing. It's just fascism. And that missing component of the analysis here, I think, explains everything. Like, hearing him say that, like, oh yes, the left populists and right populists want the same thing. No, they don't. Fascists do not want what leftists want. The idea that this is that this is comparable, right? Like, if they wanted what leftists want, they would be leftists. Okay? This isn't, horseshoe theory isn't real. It's not like you go far enough right and then you're suddenly, oh, you're both populist. Haha. Nice.
So like, we've broken out of that prison, and that prison was the worst place in the world, and it was filled with nothing but gaslighting about the American people suck and the donors are the greatest, the politicians are honest.
I just don't know who is going to be that voice, number one, because his administration has largely been filled with, you know, almost, with a few exclusions, you know, I think the labor secretary is a notable one, but with almost all like sort of right-wing ideologues. And number two, I guess part of what I'm grappling with as well is if you go down the list of issues, I'm all for a horseshoe, and I think there are some areas there, you know, to work with Josh Hawley or work with, it used to be Marco Rubio actually was kind of interesting on some of the economic stuff, like Matt Gaetz also was interesting on some of the economics.
Yeah.
All for horseshoe, working with elected representatives, et cetera. But if you go down the list, I think you and I are mostly ideologically in the same place. I'm sure we have some differences, but I think we're by and large ideologically in the same place.
Yep.
If I go down a list, I am on almost every issue closer to the Kamala Harris Democrat than I am to.
This is basically, I think, Crystal in the nicest possible way explaining to Cenk that he's full of shit.
The Donald Trump Republican,
That's
whether
why-
it's healthcare or wages or labor
Crystal,
or any of these things. And so that's what's kind of, that's what's a little bit like dissonant for me is, you know, if we're caring about the policy outcomes, I think I'm much more likely to get improvement, not the things we would want, like Medicare for all, but much more likely to get improvement on the policy outcomes that I would want to see from a Kamala Harris. So react to that, but also, like, are you saying that you're actively happy that Trump beat her at this point?
No, but
Okay.
what I was going to say is, since I agree with you ideologically that I'm closer to the theoretical Kamala Harris positions,
Right.
that's why I voted for Kamala Harris
Right.
instead of Donald Trump.
Right.
And I'm worried that Donald Trump, again, never called him a Nazi, never called him Hitler, but fascist
Yeah,
is another word
same.
for authoritarian, right? And so, yeah, I'm worried that Donald Trump's an authoritarian, so that's why I voted, and he said to terminate the Constitution.
Yeah.
That's why I voted for Kamala Harris. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, having said that, now that he has won, right, I would have preferred an actual populist instead of what I view to be a fake populist, right? But now that he has won, there is a tiny ray of hope that did not exist in the establishment prison.
Okay, I hear that.
So he last thing on that.
How? No. I need you to explain how. It's not a I hear you on that. I need you to actually like elaborate.
Yeah.
Is, I'll give you a specific example. Paid family leave. Is Trump likely to do it? No, of course not, right? So, and was Kamala Harris going to do it? No, of course not, okay? No, there's
I think you had a
0%
better chance with her then.
No, I totally disagree. That's where I disagree. The establishment never wavers. They will do what corporate donors tell them, not 99% of the time, 100% of the time.
That's not true.
It is 100%
But Cenk, I can give you
I will
some
debate you on any issue.
Okay, I'll give you some specific examples from the Biden administration,
Okay,
which is
can't wait.
antitrust, Lena Khan.
Yeah.
Right? The Wall Street Journal hated him for that. The billionaires hated him for that. I mean, that was a big pressure campaign they put on Kamala Harris to make sure she got rid of Lena Khan, etc. So that he was the most pro-labor president we have had in our lifetimes.
That is the lowest bar there is.
Of course, but these are two areas where the donors did not want this, right? And his National Labor Relations Board, you know, the General Counsel, Jennifer Abruzzo, genuinely sort of revolutionary.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm sorry, you can't really you can't say something as dumb as like fascist is just another word for authoritarian. No, it's not. It's a different thing. Authoritarianism can be a component and often is of fascism, but it is not fascism entire.
Revolutionary in her approach. You know, they ended captive audience meetings, for one example. A lot of the decisions she made helped to enable this grassroots labor organizing surge. And so, you know, that was a break from neoliberalism. Now he has destroyed any possible positive legacy with genocide in Gaza and all kinds of other things besides, and being so arrogant and not getting out of the way, et cetera. But he did break with what the billionaires wanted and what the donors wanted in a few key areas. And I think we are very, that is not going to happen with Trump. Trump has already handed so much government power, and this will help us transition into Elon, to Elon Musk with this Doge thing. I mean, Elon is not only the richest man on the planet, but he also has massive, multi-billions of dollars in government contracts. He's one of the Pentagon's largest contractors. And whether it's Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or whoever, I, as a matter of principle, object to like rule by billionaires, rule by unelected billionaires. And this is like the most clear manifestation of that I've ever seen.
So for Biden and Obama, what they do is a release valve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll give you 5 to 10% change.
Sure.
And I would argue that Biden at his height actually did 15% of his
Yeah.
agenda. So for Democrats, that's like record breaking. We're only lying 85% of the time.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say, well, look, we gave you a little release valve so you don't do a revolution. We gave you Lena Khan. We gave you a decent National Labor Relations Board. Now, of course, we didn't give you the PRO Act. Don't be ridiculous. We're not going to actually promise.
But how many Democrats supported the PRO Act and how many Republicans?
No, but that's my point. That's my point. Crystal, those Democrats are liars. They don't actually support the PRO Act. They don't actually support any of those policy positions.
The insane thing to me here is that he seems to be saying that, like, right-wing populist politicians are sincere, and that baffles me. It baffles me. Why? Why do you think that? Clearly it's bullshit. Right?
Giant, enormous liars. So you saw it on $15 minimum wage. Oh, we're for $15 minimum wage. And Joe Biden's like, get it out of the goddamn bill, right? He said it in the first interview in the Super Bowl. He said, oh, no, we can't do $15 minimum wage. Why? And I remember talking to people in Congress saying, oh, Cenk, what are you worried about? It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Nancy Pelosi told us it's guaranteed, right? And what did we do? We forced a vote on it. And what happened? 8 sellout Democratic senators voted against the $15 minimum wage, including the 2 Biden senators.
And how many Republicans voted against it?
No, but Crystal, I stipulate that the Republicans are totally corrupt.
But are you? Because it seems like you're saying that you're more likely to get like something real out of them than you are out of the Democrats. And look, I'm clear-eyed about the Democrats. You know, I've been plenty critical of them in their many failings, but I just don't think that's true. And you know, part of it is that Democrats get significant funding from labor unions, and that's a part of their coalition. And so that's part of why they're. That's part of why. That's part of why they have been more. I mean, they have just. The Biden administration in particular was pretty consistently pro-labor, and I think they deserve. You know, I think they deserve some credit for that. And
like we had to drag him to the picket line, and he finally makes it to a picket line. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, a Democrat didn't lie 100% of the time." I'm not trying to say the
Democrats are perfect, but Donald Trump is a strikebreaker. Like he bragged. He went to Elon Musk and was.
Okay, I can't. We can't watch this entire thing. Am I okay? No. I'm not. I'm upset. But I think what we watched of this is sufficient. I think we understand now, and I think I've demonstrated to you guys that Cenk is coming from that particular place. And whether, again, it is pure him being a simpleton, or being naive, or being a liar, regardless of what it is, that's where he is, right? Now, one of the things I wanted to look at here was this in particular. Like, Greg Abbott is now praising Anna Casparian for her appearance on Glenn Beck. Anna Casparian, a staunch progressive, said, "My busing of migrants to Democratic majority cities and how it impacted local politics in those places proved to her that she had been lied to by a media that had been downplaying the country's immigration issues." Like, Greg Abbott is congratulating himself for his brilliant plan of doing human trafficking across state lines. Wonderful stuff. But in addition to that, apparently now the fists are flying.
So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, fuck it. Here's who's doing it, and fuck them, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh no, I can't believe you're saying that about poor Jimmy Dore. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Dave Rubin. I can't believe you're saying that about poor Sam Cedar. I know. Poor Sam, okay?
I don't think anyone has said poor Sam Cedar. Like, Sam Cedar is a big boy. He can stand up for himself just fine.
So anyways, yeah. And so look, they claim to be more left-wing, and then they'll
I don't give a shit.
No, hold on, let me finish.
I don't care.
And then
I tried to find the original source for these clips just to provide additional context, but it's behind a paywall, so.
They'll go around and be like, oh, corporatist politicians, yes, establishment Democrats, Kamala Harris. What happened? I thought Kamala Harris was a cop.
Again, I watched the Majority Report pretty consistently. They were not like major establishment shills.
Now all of a sudden, oh, Kamala Harris lost. What happened? What happened? There's only 2 things that make you cry: when establishment Democrats lose, and when we fight back against you. Oh, well, you're not supposed to fight back. No,
this isn't Crystal and Cenk. This is Cenk and Anna.
They're so rude. I mean, we only call them Nazis. Why are they fighting back? You see how they're the bad guys? Let's all cry again. Oh, cry all you want. I don't give a goddamn what you do.
You don't need to clip it, Jess. I got clips.
But if you guys support a corporatist prick in the next primary because of identity politics or any other bullshit, I'm going to let everybody know that all of the things you've ever done in your life was apparently totally and utterly fraudulent.
Dude, like you can't be throwing this, you can't be throwing these hands. You can't be throwing these hands, Jenk. Like, you supported the conservative mayoral candidate in your city. Like, you went more corporatist than the corporatist Dem that was running. You cannot be this angry at that. The kind of smoke you're throwing just goes right into your own eyes.
And all you wanted was to get some pats on the head from the establishment. We're populists. Are you guys populists? I don't see that at all.
Frankly, after hearing him misunderstand what fascism is, I don't think he knows what populism is either.
Oh, cheer for the establishment, yay! Okay, go ahead, do it in the next primary. Go support Pete Buttigieg in the next primary, or Gavin Newsom. Let me see you, okay?
Like, absolute garbage. And not only that, but like, it continues. You know?
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk Ugran and Casparian, all back in the studio here, Parley Market Studios in LA.
Thoughts and prayers.
Look, the last thing is about Peter Thiel. So apparently he put money into Polymarket, right? So that people are holding that against us. Now, I didn't know that when we did the deal, but does it matter? I'm gonna say something revolutionary. No, it doesn't.
You're right. No, it doesn't matter, because you made a deal with an online gambling website to get your audience to gamble on politics. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that's actually quite bad. And in fact, I seem to recall the Young Turks making some kind of promise to not do bad things with their advertising, you know, pretty explicitly. Back in 2019, in fact, there was a whole article on Forbes about it. The Young Turks says it will turn down advertisers that don't fit its values. So I guess the Young Turks values people betting on political outcomes. That's insane. That is insane. And yet, he continues.
Doesn't matter. Why? Okay, Peter Thiel also financed PayPal. Did anybody ever use PayPal? If you did, guilty.
Okay, but there's a big difference between using a product and advertising a product. Those are two different things.
Okay, hold on. Okay, Peter Thiel also financed Facebook. Did anybody ever use Facebook? I know Emma did, because she used to make videos for us on Facebook.
That you required her to make. You were her employer. You had her do that.
Emma, I can't believe you work with Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel funded organization Facebook. Hey, give me all that money back from all of your videos on Facebook.
You paid her to do them.
Because Peter Thiel financed Facebook. You're gonna do that? No, you're not gonna do that, right? So
this is such, like they're so mad they've gone into completely bizarro world.
It's just a piece of propaganda that they're using against us.
I don't give a shit, okay? I don't care at all. I'm here, I'm speaking my
I mean, kind of seems like you care. Kind of seems like you give a shit.
truth.
Like, I don't know, like why, the only reason I can conceive of to burn these bridges is to just like, because they are doing a concerted conservative pivot. That's the only read I can have on this. Because frankly, like, it's what they've been talking about. They've been talking about, you know, oh, we're going to bridge the left populists and the right populists. And they've been covering the conservative stories. They've been doing the conservative disinfo. And like, honestly, like leftists in this space, we will occasionally criticize each other. And you know what happens? We politely ignore it. Or we receive the criticism and we change accordingly, but we don't make it into a gigantic deal, you know? But I got one more clip for you guys.
So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times, we're like, all right, fuck it. Here's who's doing it, and fuck them, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh
Wait, this is the same one. Oh no, I got two of the same. My bad. My bad. We already saw that clip. I thought I had one more other one. Do 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 do. Well, all right. However, this then prompted a response from the Majority Report, producer Matt Leck, and he says, it's very simple. Cenk got a bunch of money from an almost billionaire to make online CNN. He and Anna failed despite having had talent that has superseded them under their umbrella at some point that could have maybe got them there. They are lashing out and looking for new markets. And like, you know, hell yeah, let's get into it. How much of TYT's membership dues have gone towards returning this guy's investment instead of to the TYT employees who have better politics than the main hosts? Again, Jeffrey Katzenberg invests $20 million into TYT. Hey, Cenk Uygur, call preferring Dems to win over GOP, whatever you want. Big fella, where we were saying it was inappropriate to expect endorsements of Harris. Find us doing this for her. And Cenk Uygur here. Yes, Karen Bass's main message seems to be that she is establishment Democrat, no interest, who thinks things in LA are generally fine. They're not, and will work the system better. This problem is the system. There's nothing but blah, 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 blah. And Dave Weigel here, Rick Caruso gets the TYT founder's endorsement. Bernie heading to LA tomorrow to campaign for Karen Bass, which is a really good, demonstration of exactly how far Cenk Uygur's fallen. Corporatism indeed, loudmouth panderer. And then starting 2 PACs to save America from money in politics, all from the Poly Market Studio. And yeah, it does indeed appear that like all of the money from Rebellion PAC seems to be going to Brianna Wu. And administrative business services, which is very nebulous indeed. And only $2,900 of what has been raised.
So finally, after somebody does it 1,000 times.
Only $200,000 of what $2,900 has been that's been raised went to an actual candidate. So I love when a billionaire decides to buy a stake in my company because he notices how many paid memberships I have. Doesn't affect my politics at all either, which is nice. Also, as you can see, I've put the money to good use. And quote, TYT has done a tremendous job developing a deeply engaged millennial community as evidenced by the size of its paid subscription membership and total watch time. 3L managing partner Sean Colo said in a statement. Quote, this financing will allow the company to accelerate its reach and further its leadership in the massive and evolving market of online news and entertainment. Uh-oh, looks like not quite billionaire money man, unlike Caruso, maybe a damn Democrat corporatist. Katzenberg has also been involved in politics as an election donor with active support of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. He was named Hollywood's premier political kingmaker, or one of them, and one of the Democratic Party's top national fundraisers. Oh, and he worked with Joe Biden in the 2024 campaign. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. And even Emma gets in on it. To be fair, some of it probably also went to hiring a union-busting law firm, which, that's true. Cenk did that. There is a documentary out on YouTube that delves into the issues between employees and Cenk when it comes to making that union. And, things also got a little bit nasty here. Anna Casparian, quote, tweets, yet another sign of her pathetic dishonesty. Emma was employed by TYT when the company announced recognition of the union. These cheap shots are to make herself look like a class warrior crack me up, especially when she advocates that we all shut up and take when someone assaults us on public shut up and take when someone assaults us on public transportation. Not wanting to get punched in the face is a bougie concern after all. Unclear what this means. I'm a member of a union. If that's a shot at my upbringing, I'll let my work speak for itself. The TYT NLRB complaint is public. I've tried to keep our differences professional. I loved you as a friend at one point. I'm sorry you've gone down this road. Which I feel like is a pretty, considering the message that she's responding to here, like, understandable. Yeah, winners and losers. Do you have a link handy? Haven't chatted in a stretch? Yeah, pop a link in chat. I'll share it around. But yeah, Emma's very kind here, I think, even in a shitty situation. No, you didn't try to keep this shit professional, Emma. You've been mocking me specifically, or especially, and running your mouth for a year. Your regression into cheering on crime, in addition to your identitarian streak, is grotesque. Which, like, I don't know, maybe stop saying transphobic shit all the time. Maybe stop doing that. And people would be less, prone to, like, make fun of you a little bit. And on top of that, like, there's just, like, some wild commentary. Thank God, enjoy the struggle sessions. Like, just, like, shitting on people who don't like what she's saying. It's bizarre. Some weird shit going on. It's deeply disappointing. And all I'll say is that I'm firmly on team majority report, I guess, if we have to choose teams. But, like, it really does it really does seem I mean it's petty as shit. Like, I mean, even friend of the show Cosmopolitics is here. Like, Anna stops to be like, you sure were a sweetheart when you were asking me for money. And it's like, damn. Like, yeah, this is pretty cunty. In not a good way. Not a flattering way. And yeah, she continuing to peddle misinformation while she's at it about the Venezuelan gang story. The Venezuelan gang story was about Venezuelan gangs taking over multiple apartment complexes. Even just one apartment complex. And that was not what happened at any point. Like, Anna goes on the show the other day and starts talking, or it was either the show or on Twitter, I can't remember. I've been working for like 12 hours straight. But, like, goes out there and starts talking about how, like, the arrest of 2 Tren de Aragua members in New York is evidence that all the gangs are taking over the apartment buildings in Colorado all over again. And it's just like, no. They were caught, like, they were on camera, then they were searched for police, and then they got caught for doing the crime that they were on camera doing. It's not rocket science. Did that tweet say arrested in New York City? Yeah, they fled Colorado and went to New York City. Yeah, Cosmopolitics has, like, been in a rough spot for a bit. And folks should go, like, support her if they can. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's pretty disappointing to see, and it's pretty, I don't know, deeply unprofessional to just be, like, shitting all over people that, like, you considered colleagues. And, like, yeah, I understand that you're getting critiqued and that doesn't feel good, but I don't know. This kind of response seems pretty unacceptable. It's been a weird night. It has been a weird night. I don't feel great. Not gonna lie. This all sucks.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur and Casparian.
Please stop. Did you exercise today? No, I did last night. After I finished stream last night, I exercised until 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it sucks. You look really pretty tonight. I don't know. I'm not having fun at the moment. Tonight's lesson is keep shit in DMs. Yeah, I mean, basically. Or, like, if you're gonna say it publicly, like, I don't know, I would imagine you'd want to treat your friends better than your enemies, but, I guess it shows where priorities lie, you know? Sucks everyone we used to trust throw us under the bus. It really does. Yeah. And frankly, full honesty with you guys, the next segment coming up here is talking about like how Florida is going to introduce like torture camps for trans people. And I'm going to try and do it, but like I feel sick to my stomach over this. It's not fun for me to talk about. It's not fun for you guys to talk about, but like seeing one of your biggest like inspirations in the space, one of the reasons you radicalized farther left in the space, kind of abandon you. It feels really bad. It feels an awful lot like losing, and it makes me feel deeply unsafe with the direction this country is going. When people who have called themselves progressive allies their entire lives, or you know, the entire time I've been aware of them for over a decade, 15 years maybe, come out and start talking about throwing you under the bus because they're no longer progressive, they're populists. Feels bad. Feels... yeah. That's just kind of where I'm at the moment.